Hey everybody, I hope you guys are doing well. If I haven't met you before, my name is Dylan Morgan. I am the leader of Life Crucified, and I am so happy that you're here watching this today. So it feels like it's been a while. I haven't done a sermon for Life Crucified in a really long time. The last person to do a sermon for Life Crucified was Kenny, and that was weeks ago. So welcome to our first sermon back, and actually welcome to our first sermon of our 18-week sermon series called Empowered. I'm actually super pumped for this series. I believe it'll be super cool for you guys, so you guys can figure out, maybe this will help you guys figure out some of your spiritual gifts and how you can receive some of your spiritual gifts and put them into action and help the church body. And this will actually be cool for me because as you guys are learning about these gifts, I am as well as I write these sermons, and I'm learning about my gifts and how I can use my gifts to benefit the body of Christ and use my gifts into action. But before we get into this actual message I have prepared for you guys, let's first talk about what the future for Life Crucified actually is and what we're going to be doing with each ministry. So I'm actually going to put this aside so I make sure I don't mess any of this up. So we're going to go through real quick. We're going to go through Instagram, Facebook, podcasts, blogs, sermons, and in-person small group /crusade. So we'll go Instagram. Instagram will be ran just as usual. Nothing will change really with that. It'll be our number one place to get info for you guys. So like any more updates or any upcoming sermons or anything that is coming up, all of it will be on Instagram. So if you guys are not following Life Crucified on Instagram, follow us at Life Crucified Ministries so you guys can keep up with everything going on with this ministry. And also on Instagram, we will also post daily verses. I think we're going to start that up pretty quick. As I read my Bible in the morning and do my Jesus time in the morning, I'm actually going to post what God spoke to me in the Bible that day, and also some encouragement, and just so you guys can be encouraged. And it'll all get posted early in the mornings so you guys can have some encouragement to go throughout your day. Facebook will be the exact same thing. All of it's pretty connected. So anything I post on Instagram will also be posted to Facebook. And so Facebook, you'll see the same thing as Instagram. Podcasts, I'm actually super pumped about. This will be super cool. We're thinking probably once or twice a month a podcast will come out. If it's a twice a month thing, one will be with another person. And then the other one would just be me talking, maybe just like a little with another person. It'd either be an interview or a conversation. I know Kenny and we've been planning a podcast for a little while now. We're going to do a podcast where on Instagram and Facebook, we're actually going to ask you guys to ask us questions. Ask us whatever you want, and we're actually going to answer that in the podcast together. So that'll be super cool. But yeah, so we're just going to maybe do some interviews, discussions, and we'll just hang out and talk Jesus. And then here's where things get a little touchy. So blogs, we have actually chosen to get rid of our ministry for blogs. We found it to be a really good kickstart to Life Crucified. But as soon as our sermon ministry started, we found that as that grew, the blogs faded. Not a lot of people liked them. It's not like they didn't like them. Not a lot of people read them. But we may come out with some testimonies if people want to write those as blogs. But other than that, we probably won't be expecting any blogs other than testimonies, and testimonies will be a pretty rare occasion. Speaking of, if you do want to write your testimony for Life Crucified, contact me. I'd love to get a hold of you and talk about the future of that. But yeah, so we went through a couple blog writers, and that didn't go over so well, but yeah, we just found that the blog ministry just wasn't going so well, so we just decided to just end that and focus more on sermons, which is our next one. So sermons will actually be our top dog of ministry that we do for Life Crucified. These will be weekly, and they will be coming out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Now we're going to start posting them to Facebook, and our website, which is still up and running. Our website's under construction for a couple things right now. If you go onto the website, you'll see some of the usual stuff, but we kind of just been working on some stuff behind the scenes. So our website's about to look really cool in the coming weeks. In-person small group /crusade. So I know we were talking about doing an in-person small group and maybe a crusade in the summer. As of right now, we are not planning on hosting any in-person gatherings at any time soon. This has absolutely nothing to do with COVID, nothing to do with social distancing. This is just something that we don't believe that we're called into right now. We really want to focus on our sermon ministry. We really want to focus on this sermon series that we're doing right now, and we want to focus more on discipling people one-on-one. And so that's what we're going to do. So we don't really feel like the small group ministry or crusades are really going to do that right now. So maybe it'll be something that comes later in the future, but anytime soon, probably not. But anyways, aside from all that, I have a couple more big announcements coming in the next couple weeks, but for right now, let's just get into the message. I am super stoked about all these ministries though, and I hope you guys are too. Life Crucified is going to be taking a turn, and I'm really excited about that. But before we get into the series on spiritual gifts, today is just the intro video, so it'll be kind of shorter. But before we get into the actual talking of spiritual gifts, we first need to understand a couple of things, and we need to understand that my gifts may be different than your gifts. I may have some gifts that you will not obtain, and you will have some gifts that I may not obtain. We also need to realize that no gift is greater than the other. The person with the gift of preaching and pastoring is no greater than the person with the gift of, let's say, hospitality. And the person with the gift of administration is no greater than the person with the gift of worship leader. Actually switch that. The person with the gift of worship leader is no greater than the person with the gift of administration. And what we see in this world sometimes is we make people with the gift of pastoring and worship leading greater than people with, again, let's just say hospitality. Oftentimes when someone uses their gift of hospitality, it is normally only seen and recognized by few, whereas where a pastor is preaching a sermon to 1,000 people, it is a little bit more recognized because it is seen by more people. But both equally benefit the body of Christ. What am I trying to say here? We really need to understand that no gift is greater than the other, even though the world has made some gifts greater than the other. In God's eyes, all gifts are the same and given by God. And that actually brings me to my next point. We need to know that every gift God has given you or will give you is given to benefit the body of Christ. We are called to use our gifts to benefit the body. So if you look over actually at 1 Corinthians 12, 15 through 20, it says, if the foot says, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear says, because I am not an eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But now God has established the parts, each one of them in the body, so it has pleased him. If they were all one part, where would the body be? So there are many parts, yet one body. So if you if you ever look at someone and say to yourself, man, like I really wish I had that person's gift. Seriously, go reread these verses right here. 1 Corinthians 12, 15 through 20. Go reread those verses because Paul is actually explaining to us that even though our gifts may be different than somebody else, they are of equal importance to the body of Christ to which we are a part of. Something else that we have to realize is where your gifts actually truly come from. Actually going back on the part where we look in somebody and say to another person, man, I wish I had those person's gifts. That was actually a really big struggle for me. I would see people, who would just be, or I'd hear about people or see people who are just like healing like crazy. And I really desired those gifts, and it would actually discourage me of my own gifts. So we do really need to know that even though our gifts are different, they are of equal importance to the body of Christ. But yeah, something else that we need to realize is where your gifts truly come from. We talked about this just a second ago. Every gift is from God. If one of your gifts is preaching, it is not you who preaches, but Christ shall preach through you. If your gift is hospitality, your goal shall be to show Christ through your hospitality. Look at these verses, 1 Corinthians 12, 4 through 11. There are various gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. There are various operations, but it is of the same God who operates all of them in all people. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to everyone for the common good. To one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the works of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another various kinds of tongues, and to another the interpretation of tongues. But that one and very same Spirit works all of these, dividing to each individually as he will. If you actually go back to verse 4, it says there are various gifts but the same Spirit. There are differences of administrations but the same Lord. There are various operations but the same God who operates them all, or who operates all of them in all people. And then you look back at verse 11. But that one and very same Spirit works all of these, dividing to each one individually as he will. What is Paul trying to say here? He's saying that every single person has been given at least one spiritual gift, but never forget where your gifts come from. Even though there are many, many gifts, there's only one God that operates all of them. And I think we need to realize this when we are studying these, all these different gifts. All of these different gifts do not come from man, but they come from God. And every single gift is operated by God. So when I'm preaching to you guys, my goal and my prayer, and this is why I pray before I preach, is because I want God to use the gift he's given me and use it through me. I don't want to preach. I want Jesus to preach through me. When somebody's praying for healing, it's not you that heals, it's Christ that heals through you. That's something we need to realize. So as we go through all these gifts and we study all these gifts together, realize that these are from God. And I'm super, super pumped for this series, man. So we're actually going to conclude this this video right here. But I'm super pumped for this series. I hope you guys are too. I'm really pumped for the one on giving, because I'm actually going to be preaching that on the beaches of Hawaii. Oh, that's going to be fun. But yeah, I'm super pumped for this series. I'm actually super pumped to just write these sermons and really study them, because then I get to study more of these gifts. But I really am hoping and praying that that this series benefits you and helps you guys figure out maybe some of your gifts, some of the gifts that maybe you don't have but can receive, or maybe some gifts that you do receive but really haven't put it into action yet. And we're going to be talking about how to actually use our gifts to benefit the body of Christ in different ways. These sermons, just a little pre-warning for you guys, are not going to be long. This is an 18-week series. They are not going to be long sermons. We could probably expect the sermons to be maybe max 15 minutes. But yeah, we just want to really go and study each gift. And these verses on 1 Corinthians 12, 15 through 20, and 1 Corinthians 12, 4 through 11, are actually going to be brought up continually through this series. So these will be our main verses pretty much for every single sermon that we have. I'll probably mention both of these at least one, so we really understand that all of these gifts are called to benefit the body, and all of these gifts are from God and God alone. But yeah, I'm super pumped for this series. Comment down below if you're watching on YouTube which series you're looking most forward to. And if you're on Instagram, comment down below also which gift you're most looking forward to hearing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I am super pumped for this series. It is an 18-week series, but there is going to be a couple buffers. We may have Kenny preach. We may just take a week off. I know that the one when I go to Hawaii, I'm going to preach the sermon on the beach, and then the sermon after there won't be anything that week. I'm going to enjoy my vacation for at least a week. But yeah, I'm super pumped for this. I hope you guys are too, and I will catch you guys next week for the first spiritual gift sermon. See ya.